It's a great pleasure and honor for the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology Egypt actually to organize this very important event regarding new horizons in managing of science and technology in collaboration with Elsevier. Elsevier is not just a service provider or international organization, actually one of ASRT tender. Elsevier is a partner, and we are actually working together during the last 3 years to develop the Egyptian Science Technology Innovation System to increase the visibility of the Egyptian Science Technology Innovation System through a very good project, national project, launched 3 or 4 years ago for the internationalization of the local results of scientific research. Actually, kindly allow me to thank very much and appreciate the presence of Dr. Sharif Hamad. Actually, he supports too much the initiatives of the Academy, and he is taking care of a very important steps in reforming and restructuring of science technology innovation system in Egypt. And from day one, actually, we started to work, to cooperate, and to integrate our efforts, and he asked me to maximize the benefits from the available database, the huge database actually available at the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology, and how to produce and generate some reports, some science technology innovation indicators to help policymakers, presidents of universities and research institutions, and to enable them for better planning for science, technology, and innovation, actually. To actually match with his vision, the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology has launched the Egyptian Science, Technology, and Innovation Observatory 4 months ago. Actually, we are building on existing experience and capability. We are not starting from the scratch. There are a lot of efforts actually led by Dr. Magid Shirvin, the former president of the Academy. What we did is actually to put a physical entity to take care of these activities. This is number one. Number two is to publish the reports generated by this entity named the Egyptian Science Technology Innovation Observatory. Today we will actually give you brief outlines about the main findings of this national report about science technology innovation indicators in Egypt. Also in this conference, together with Elsevier, we will actually honor some chief editors of Egyptian journals actually. Elsevier, based on a very specific and professional criteria, selected 6 Egyptian journals. Those journals are the best performing journals in Egypt, and we will award in awarding ceremony the chief editor of this journal. This is just to say that we appreciate very much and value very high the honest efforts of the chief editors of these journals. In the conference also we have the chance to see some talks about
ممكن تقعدوا؟ محدش يحط حاجة. ممكن تقعدوا؟ ممكن ترجعوا تقعدوا مكانكم؟ ممكن لو سمحت ارجع اقعد مكانك. طب
Finally, I would like to thank very much your attendance and participation in this event. Thanks to Dr. Sharif Hamad for endless support to our effort and initiatives. And thanks also for our partner, Elsevier, for their actually great support to ASRT activity. I hope you a very fruitful conference, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. She would like to give the floor to Mr. Charles to address the participants.
much. Firstly, Your Excellency, Minister, President, the Academy, all presidents of the universities, dear colleagues, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. It is an honor for Elsevier to be here and to co-host or facilitate this important event. And I would very much like to emphasize and build upon what you just said in your introduction. It is more than a business relationship we have. We truly have a partnership. Years ago, we were in the business of publishing books and print journals. Everything was print. Then we moved to electronic. Then, because there were so many data points available, we made a combination of the data we have with the technologies available and provided to, or started to develop services, solutions, benchmarking services to help you better informing your research strategy setting process. At the same time, we are extremely excited that a third space we collaborate in, and that is to support the Egyptian scientific community to enhance its research visibility through the production hosting program we have via already, I believe, some 36 journals. And it is very important for us as a partner to be here today and to award the hard work of all the editors and journals, what they have shown over the last couple of years since the beginning to improve the positions of those journals in the international context. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your attendance. I look forward to today's meeting.
Now is the time actually to listen to Dr. Sharif Hamad, the Minister of Scientific Research and Technology, and would like to make use of this opportunity also to listen to his vision for the science and technology policy of Egypt. So the floor is yours, Dr. Sharif.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like first to welcome Prof. Dr. Hassan Khan Bahadin, ex-Minister of Education, Prof. Dr. Muhammad Abdul Muttalib, ex-Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources. I would like to welcome all universities representatives, all research institutions presidents, and I would like to welcome Prof. Dr. Ashraf Hatem, Secretary General of Supreme Council of Universities. First, I would like to thank Dr. Mahmoud Sak and Mr. Charles for organizing this very important one-day conference, highlighting what we are doing now in the Ministry of Scientific Research in Egypt. This actually workshop or conference entitled New Horizons in Managing Science and Technology will open the window for all of us here to show the important indices and performance indices of science and technology environment in Egypt. Actually, it will address the performance of all universities, how to measure it. How to measure on the individual contributor research level. How to measure discipline or technology or certain specialty performance. How to measure international cooperation. How to measure university with all its faculties. So, the current status of scientific research and science and technology will be clear for everyone participating in this important new horizon for Egypt. One important thing that all these results actually are based on a well-defined and updated database offered by Elsevier and done actually by Egyptian teams. Egyptian teams working in the Egyptian Academy of Scientific Research in Egypt are well trained now to give periodic reports for all universities, for all research institutions, and for all strategic planners to diagnose what we are doing now. And it's not only one report, it should be periodic reports because it's dynamic nature. This is the importance of this workshop today. About what we are doing in the ministry now, we are actually midway in the overall strategic planning for the science and technology. That's why this conference or workshop is important for us now. What we have done actually during the last 4 months is to define the organogram for all actors playing in this scientific and innovation environment in Egypt. To define the role, the responsibilities, the authorities, and how to measure the KPIs, how to measure the performance of each actor of this system, what we can call it system, innovation system in Egypt. This is very important, but because what we suffered in the past is the redundancy of the research work between different institutions and different universities. We would like to devise mechanisms to avoid this redundancy. We would like to focus our fund on the strategic direction of the nation. We would like to focus our fund on the main key players of the research, what we call them the doers, the tenures, the youth that are highly contributing to the system actually. Through this database we can define them very well. So what we have done is actually to define who are executing the researchers in Egypt, who are the funding agencies, who are the higher politicians who should define the main projects that we will be focused in 2 years, 5 years, till 2030, inshallah. This is strategy actually, we are in the stage now to start the roadmap for all technologies in Egypt. We will all be working in this roadmap. All, I mean, research institutions, universities, professors. So, the actors and even the non-governmental societies and agencies and the press will be contributing to this strategy actually. So all people will be exposed to this policy from day one till we'll end up hopefully by January. We will make use of all the reports done so far and available, and we'll be more specific in the projects that will be defined in this policy. Projects means budget allocated, excellent people to work in definite time to deliver touchable, observable results. That's what we are working now, and hopefully we'll make use of all your opinion during this conference, and to learn more, I'll be with you till midday, inshallah, because we would like to listen to each other, to learn from each other, because it's a very important moment for us now, and we will work together till we get the research as a vital source for economic growth in Egypt, inshallah. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you all again. Thank you all again for not sure whether we need to switch off the light and whether this is all readable also from the back. Is this better? I believe you hear me. First of all, thank you very much for the inspiring words and the way the ministry, the academy is going to use all the evaluation and innovative tools we have available these days to actually set the objectives and to evaluate the research performance and assessment. Actually, when I arrived yesterday evening late, I realized that in 1 year and 2 months we are finishing or sort of looking back at the first 10 years of our partnership. 10 years, that's quite a long time. In 2005, I was here for the first time, I was here 2 times to kick off, together with representatives from the ministries, from the Egyptian University Library Consortia, and with a consultant from the World Bank, to think about the information needs and to serve those information needs through the universities and through the consortia. And I'm very happy that in a year and a few months we will be looking back at a 10-year partnership. We certainly look forward to further expand it and to make it even more successful. I would like to talk about 2 things today, really. Thank you very much for the segue, Minister, because indeed it is very important to see what is actually the relevance of investments in science and research, and what's the impact on the economy, what's the impact on the Egyptian economy. That's the first point I'd like to address today. Then next to that, I would like to more specifically zoom into some of the trends we see in the research output, and what are potential challenges or what are improvement levels, how publishers at large could further help, and how Elsevier could help specifically. So firstly, and I hope this is somewhat readable, but what I'm depicting here on this slide is the journal usage against the article output in a certain year, starting in 1996 till 2013. And the sources of the scientific output, the source is Scopus, the database with 22,000 journals of 5,000 publishers. So that is Elsevier and non-Elsevier journals. And the usage, the dotted line, is coming from the usage on Science Direct. And what you see if you look at the blue line, which is representing Egypt, you see that the blue dotted line is starting in 2004-2005, and we saw the first trial access, and then it was picking up significantly, and that was because of the start of the consortia Elsevier partnership and providing all the researchers with electronic access. So the usage went up quite a bit, and the output line also showed a sort of a trend break and started accelerating as well. So we see a strong association there between access, hence usage, and scientific output. This is a little bit of a benchmark comparing Egypt to other African nations. The red line is South Africa, still leader in the region, and showing basically that same development. Starting a couple of years earlier with science to benchmark and compare citation impact in a given scientific discipline, to be able to compare those amongst themselves and to aggregate. What you then see, if you look at that same 10-year period or so, is that Egypt's quality is improving, but it is also outpaced by the 2 countries, and also Iran, 3 countries we saw in the other, on the other slide. So they, in one way or the other, do not only improve their productivity, but at the same time they improve their quality, the average number of citations going to their published papers. So why is that? How comes? It's not the only driver, but certainly, as mentioned before in the introduction, international collaboration is a key driver of enhancing the quality of the whole research enterprise. And citations are still a very strong metric to indicate so. And what we see here, and apologies again for the small font, I'll try to explain this. So on the horizontal axis you'll see the extent of international collaboration as expressed by, is there at least one international co-author at that paper published, and how does that position sort of relate to the international collaboration field-weighted citation index. What you then see, and over the last 10 years, indeed, Egypt also internationalized its research quite a bit. There's certainly a very positive development as well. But at the moment, this is a 2013 number, it is just beyond 40%. And it corresponds to a field-weighted citation index of just above 1. But if you then look at the international leaders in terms of open science, international collaboration, there's countries there from Scandinavia, Austria, the UK, obviously, France, and you see the correlation, the association again. So you might further try to understand what you could do to further internationalize your research. And of course this can be done at various levels. And this is just an illustrative slide. It's actually a segue into the presentation this afternoon, which is much more extensive by Ibrahim, who will do a 45 minutes on all innovative tools Elsevier and others may provide you with to get better insights. But if you look at collaboration and on how to improve this picture, the first question, of course, to ask is, if you are seeking international alliances or partnerships, whom are then the best partners to reach out to? And you can actually analyze the data and see whether a collaboration will actually pull up or pull down your citation profile. And obviously you want to identify the best partners to collaborate with. And the same applies to university presidents or leaders of faculties. They want to know if they have decided, and again this is just an illustration, it's not a very meaningful slide I'm afraid, but if you select one of the disciplines which you have prioritized, whether it is biology, of arts and humanities, or this chemical engineering, it doesn't matter, and you already have a strength in that field, but you would like to expand on that leading competency, you rather want to know elsewhere in the world, elsewhere in countries, which other research groups, whom are working on similar or adjacent fields, which could potentially make you stronger. And you rather want to select the partners and approach the partners which would make you more productive and would enhance your quality at the same time. And so this is really what the workshop this afternoon will be about. We will go very much into detail and show what the benefits are by applying the tools such as SciVal. You can do it at country level, as said, you can do it at institutional level, but you could also do it at individual researchers level. And this is, if you wish, a brain circulation map. It basically shows of the Egyptian researchers what happened in a period between 1996 and 2011, so that is a 15-year period. We looked by publication patterns what happened to researchers. Did they actually leave Egypt for a long period? Did they sort of the brain outflow? Did they come back? Or did they actually come from another nation, firstly publishing there and then moving into Egypt? Or did they actually, what we call transitory researchers, did they move out, do research elsewhere and come back? And we actually tracked that by following the affiliations to which the papers were affiliated to. And so if you see, for instance, first a couple of papers from a researcher affiliated with Ain Shams University of the University of Cairo, and then suddenly the next set of papers is co-published with MIT or with Stanford or with a Dutch university, then we assume that researcher migrated, and if that person then came back after spending at least 2 years abroad, and then affiliating him or herself again to an Egyptian affiliation, we take that as a transitory group. The interesting result of this is, if you look at sort of the outcome, is that 40%, almost 39.7% of all the Egyptian researchers in our Scopus and SciVal database did never publish a paper under a foreign affiliation. Their relative productivity is half, is at .50. What means is that it is half compared to the average productivity. And the number of citations to those papers published is a little bit over 5. If you then, for instance, look at the transitory group, which is a very interesting group, it's actually a highly productive group. So they are the most productive compared to the brain outflow group and the inflow group. The productivity is the relative productivity is 1.46, so significantly higher than the people always state. and at the same time the citations to papers published by that transitory group is 12.2 per paper. It is almost 2.5 times higher than the people who never left Egypt. And again, this is just an illustration, but with the SciVal tools available now, you can actually follow individuals, you can follow groups, and you can actually see what's happening during their career, or at a certain moment in time, look back and see what the impact is of their behavior, and possibly facilitate international stays or international experience. And let me then, as the last sort of part before I close out, just show you how important you are to us. The Egyptian research community is tremendously important to us. We also hope to help you advancing your science, but what this slide basically shows is the very strong sort of interdependency we have together. And that is a true, these overviews is a true sign of our partnership. What is in the middle here is the traditional publishing cycle. You read, while reading, and you're preparing your paper, you cite, then you publish the paper, and once the paper is published, it hopefully gets cited. If you look at an analysis we did based on Scopus, again covering 22,000 international journals of 5,000 publishers, so that goes well beyond the Elsevier publications alone, we see that in terms of citing, so the documents you are referencing in your papers, it's about 37% of all references go into Elsevier journals. And then publisher A and publisher B, you may guess whom those publishers are, get these percentages. I cannot fully read it, 8% and 10%. If you then look at the publishing behavior, 1 out of 4 papers, 25% is published in Elsevier journals, and 14% and 7% respectively in publisher A and publisher B. And if you look at the citations you are receiving once the papers are published, 3 out of 10 papers are from Elsevier journals which are citing your published work. So there is a tremendous partnership between our publishing operation and the Egyptian research community, and we are very grateful for that partnership. With all the data we have available today, we can also look at in what way is Science Direct actually helping you to connect to others. And this is a visualization, it's a map showing where Egyptian researchers find relevant papers from researchers affiliated to universities situated in those countries. And this is not about citations, this is about usage. And usage is a good proxy for later on citations and for impact, but it is an earlier insight we may provide you with. So if you look at most articles used from an individual country, it is the United States, which is actually on top with 18%. And it's not showing in this list because the US is split up by all its states, but then we see that China is an important one, the UK, India, France, etc. If you then actually see where your papers are used, so whom are using the Egyptian output, you see that over a period, this is actually again a period of 5 years, from 2009 to 2013, 11 million or almost 12 million times the Egyptian papers were downloaded, again giving a very good impetus to later on citations to those papers. And you see that leading nations are China, the United States, Egypt itself, 5% of all downloads, Iran, the UK, and so on.